head Business and Economic Bureau ma GUTA no ending komo na yembisa no de ma ba ku mienu miensa bi yenhwe effect anaso se sisi ade yedem bibia ni ho a ebe yeda yenda anase den a ora Charles morning bibia bokode
nyame adom me ma ho so achi
oba na nso ni ton
pete kakra
pete on okay nti mo mu fifie ba na mo fa umbrella mu tie nka de a mo fa umbrella na nsuo no etotototo a ora Charles what is me ne ora Prince edin komo efa premium no wa chechre say what non-life insurance no etie then baby mo ba mu pa ene shops no ene how omo charge premium no and all that. First off, what is ana muku no say 15% yeah they are to a non-life insurance premium so no what then na more can fa ho what is your take on that first of GUTA?
All right, thank you. In fact, I'm trying to find a word. We're disappointed.
Oh, how?
Yes. You know, over the periods, the economy is a VAT as a tax policy. It's not helping businesses. And what we've been pushing for is reforms within the VAT structure. Because VAT is a consumption tax. And it adds on to cost of prices of items. And compliance is very low in the market. So over the period, most businesses have been using part of their working capital to pay for VAT, which have been depleting their working capital. And it also affects expansion. What we've been waiting for is a reform within the VAT system, not an expansion of VAT into another sector that is already struggling. We share insurance companies and in a number of Ghanaians that have bought into the culture of taking insurance policies are very low. So we're thinking that probably if there's any means government want to raise funds, insurance companies should not be targeted. Reason is this. When we say early part of this year, a lot of our markets were gutted with fire. NIA tried to encourage our people that please go and insure your properties, insure your stocks, so that if such events happen, you are covered. So to wake up that even though they've not bought into our lobbying of taking insurance, now as I introduce you another VAT to it, you are discouraging businesses to take up that policy which will protect their businesses in case of any unexpected events. 2, businesses have been complaining that there's so much tax in our system that are restricting growth within the market. Any tax out to may bring a revenue as government. Maybe you might achieve your revenue target, but the economic ramification to businesses say some businesses may collapse because your tax system do not correlate to the dynamics within the market. We are pretending we are paying taxes, but actually we are collapsing businesses. It's a bit true, baby, no. Business which has become the bloodline of every economy, no. When it's dried up, there's no business again, there's no economy again. Advocacy is that let's look at how do we make taxes much more easy for anyone to comply with. Ghana, a challenge with tax system is about compliance. And when you're talking about compliance, you are talking about simplicity, we are talking about flexibility, we are talking about affordability. When we breach all these 3, you can raise all the taxes that you want. But that will not give you the kind of growth you are looking for our economy, because you will get the revenue at the expense of business survival. We've been talking about this for the period, that any time government decide to reduce taxes, there's a certain savings that you give to businesses, which forms part of their working capital. When business have cheap working capital, they can expand. When they are expanding, they need to employ more youths. The timid youth that are unemployed, we will employ them. So we solve the problem of unemployment. We take that burden from you as government. When businesses are growing and they are recording profits, you will enjoy a very sustainable corporate income tax. That is sustainable. So if we're looking for revenue, we should not always look for the cheapest and the most convenient way as government to do it. But you look at a much more sustainable way that will resonate with the business community.
And which ones are the sustainable ones you're talking about?
So we are talking about that give tax havens to businesses. If you do comparative analysis between Ghana and some of the sub-Saharan African countries' taxes, our taxes are so high. If you compare our taxes with Cote d'Ivoire, it's very high. You'll be paying corporate tax within 30-35%.
Cote d'Ivoire?
Cote d'Ivoire is about 20%.
It didn't know near 20%.
So that's what we should find out. So they probably have bought in the concept that it's not about high taxes that gives you revenue, but it's about how you expand the tax net. Then the probably bridge, and now it's sustainable. In our country, we talk about, and we have to expand the tax net. Few people are paying taxes because tax is not affordable to the ordinary Ghanaian. It's not flexible. A lot of complexity in it. It's what we are supposed to address. It's about the affordability, about the complexity, and about flexibility. If we're able to do this, compliance is achieved. You don't need to increase taxes again. And everybody will feel reliable that I need to pay my taxes. But that we have lost that opportunity. So coming back to why we're disappointed for them to introduce VAT on non-life insurance policy is that, you know what? The same people who have been paying VAT that we are complaining about, we are the same people who are going to pay the VAT on non-life insurance. The reason is this. Every business survives on some kind of debt financing from the bank. Bank being here collateral. Collateral na bank no here, you have to insure it. It's Miwobia or deal on a free bank. The insurance OCHA for that cover is about 30,000 Ghana cedis. That's the premium. Now, if you have to add 15% of what to this 30,000, he's going to pay about 34,500 Ghana cedis. That is an extra cost to the business. Remember this. We've been complaining about high cost of doing business in Ghana. One of them is our interest rates. Our interest rate hovers between 30 to 35%, depending on your risk level from the bank. Now, adding 15%, if I have to take a loan and I have to insure my property, you are adding to the cost to 15%. That means that the problem of reducing the cost of doing business has not been solved, but rather is being aggravated. You are increasing the cost of doing business in Ghana. When the cost of doing business is high in Ghana, what it means is that cost of items also will go high. That will mean that we will not be competitive as a country.
Adena sebi mawe to ade na ebe kosro se utia o premium na wasande ba be sheme.
Yes.
Se ebi aduane ana sebi product am be to stock no o de kosro.
VAT is a consumption tax. So whoever consumes the VAT, whoever consumes the item or the service is supposed to pay for that. The point is this. Every businessman has this very objective, to make profit. And in doing that, we are also mindful of keeping certain level of cost. But when the cost goes beyond a certain limit, we have no option. Say, we will pass on that cost to the consumer. It may cost us idea way, na 10 cedis, and they may call a 15 cedis. It is first time they get 12 cedis. It's same in get 12 cedis beam, but they get 17 cedis.
It's time to say we know VAT in the cost.
Exactly. So that will mean that, one, cost of prices of items will go high. You remember some few days and months ago, government we're calling on businesses to reduce prices
Yes,
of items.
July somewhere. Most July.
No, we've done a lot. Price of
okay.
items have come down.
Okay.
Okay. So now introducing 15% of VAT on non-life insurance policies will mean that whatever we want to achieve by reducing prices, we will lose it. Price of items will go up again. Because cost of doing business has gone high. Cost of borrowing will go high. Because that part, which most of the time directly linked to lending, you cannot run away from it. You see, as if that probably could be enough. People with commercial properties, when they are renting, right, they have to pay withholding tax of about 15% on properties.
Come on, more shops, no more they rent.
And these shops are almost every year have to be insured. So adding 15% on the premium will mean that rent must also go high. Because that business person who has invested in properties will not keep that 15% as its cost. It must be spread for his tenant to pay for it. What are we doing this as a country? Why? You know, it breaks my heart that what policymakers are always looking at what makes them comfortable, without recourse to the effect on that ordinary Ghanaian and that business person who we always call is the engine of growth for this country. Now, government wants to introduce 24-hour economy.
And also the 24-hour economy.
And if you make the environment such uncompetitive, unsustainable for businesses, how are you going to achieve that? If cost of doing business is high in this country, why would I want to be part of such policy? You're supposed to make things much more flexible. When businesses are growing, when businesses are expanding, when the environment is right, a lot of people will invest their money in the economy. One of the things that I want to end with, yes, everybody will say that government needs money, needs revenue, VAT and ADG revenue. That no one is contesting it. Okay? But the point is this. Or VAT, or taxes, or revenue are original. You should be very careful that you don't collapse businesses. That is where I want to end with.
And you think the 15% a big good businesses?
Because one, cost of doing business will go high by 15% with the introduction of 15% VAT on non-life insurance.
What say sector no is already struggling?
Yes.
Sector being okay.
I'm talking about the insurance sector.
A struggle.
Of course, because Ghanaians have not bought the culture of insurance.
Okay. And that was where Okan so say even Krano more Moncroft Kasa more lobby for them to then to me enquire this non-life insurance policies and all that.
That's right.
So obisa on yes idea na sanctions be ho.
There's no sanctions. I mean, probably there are laws, but no one is enforcing it. But the point is this:
it is enforcing
it's at my will. Okay, when you look at risk assessment, you want to either absorb the risk or you want to pass on the risk to an insurance company. But if I think I can absorb my risk and I don't want to insure my property, that's not your business, is it? Okay. It's not about compulsion. You see, anything that calls for compulsion, of sometimes we receive some level of resistance. What we are talking about is compliance and making things much more flexible and attractive for people to voluntarily adapt it. But what I say, that is where we're thinking government will allow the insurance company to have that attractive environment for business to say, I am insuring my car, I'm insuring my house, I'm insuring my stocks, I'm insuring my properties. But you see, it's a candy home pool. So when you're adding on, you should be assured that that target revenue, you will not get it. Then you'll be looking at another place of raising another taxes. That is not how we are expecting. That's not what we sign up to.
My main TSE ne a T for some TSE. My a typical example say Appiah product A, me babeto microphone, if I was shop. Na me find say activate 15% VAT. Institution so no chere and can me bar shop I will see you 2 cities, you know. See me bar na say 15% e bemu na say cost mamutia mo premium na just a scan so be cost. Sorry, a product no so be cost.
The price will go high.
Okay. Sa premium na mutiano yearly, right? So adia wotia in a year. Adan na wo de ba be ma me
so
effect current one so.
You spread. You see, in business we have to go anticipation, and what you anticipate you are able to manage. If I know ending of this year my rent will expire, I need to go and renew my rent, and I know there's a 15% increase in VAT. Obviously I should anticipate that my rent fee will go high. So I must start making means of raising funds to meet that demand. And our only means of raising funds is the things that we sell. Nema na ye ton, service na ye provide no. And who any nyesika edeye nema. If you look at your pricing model and structure, no one factor in the possible increment, okay, into it, so that you will not be left out in competition. Because if you run on free, you must pay for it. That is why we will start spreading that 15% extra cost to us, to our consumers.
Okay.
But what you say?
Okay. Okay.
One other thing that I want to add on is this: there's always what we call cost of replacement. As business, you restock. You want to revamp it. It's your own share. If I want to do this, looking at the current challenges, okay, what gap will it be created? Okay, that extra gap is a cost for your replacement. If you overshare, how do you raise extra revenue? Okay, through sales, through the service that you render, to reduce that gap. That is why we are calling on government that if the needs be, it should suspend this and call for stakeholder engagement. Yes, one of the things that government will want to raise revenue is to meet its capital projections and expectations. We have called on government that a lot of businesses have a lot of liquidity, almost sebi. They are looking for investment. Okay, they don't want to put it in the bank. So you see a lot of people building houses again, but they have the opportunity. They will divert into commercial investment, where they want to build the roads for us through build, operate, and transfer model. So government, you don't have to go and borrow money. You don't have to raise taxes to meet your capital expenditure needs.
Okay.
Leave that space for the business people.
All right.
But what you say? No one is investing into our economy. People are going to Dubai to buy properties. They are going to other countries to invest in because we have limited investment opportunities in this country. When you sit down here about a car, and that's what the bank. Today, business person have grown beyond that. So government should create that opportunity for us.
But yes, so the can say, oh, see the number form. Mana mo fa no nye adwuma na mo babeka kire mo ma ye won I said the mo ma yakuma etu yi say esusun so be ba no sun e wo ye so dollar esusun ne say aba for mo ye adwuma mo other businesses na ekoyie. So if other businesses are doing well in terms of a dollar no aba for mo I don't know forgive na mo fan say 15 it's still I amend it within the lowest of the dollar.
I'm thinking your argument is what they also look at, that now business have money, so yeah, let's go and tax money from them. But that is not it. That is not it. I can tell you this. On the surfaces, we all know that dollar has gone down. Therefore, businesses are making some savings. But in reality, it is not like that. Okay? If you ever have any engagement with any business person, Obeka will say, yeah, brace, say, the reason is this.
Dollar number for me.
Makoto Niema at the rate of 15 cedis to $1. And the dollar above from 10.8 or so.
10, yeah.
And they say mintiso. It's okay. I want to respond to the market. It's matiso. Matiso, no. Sales are not going well like I'm expecting. One, matiso, no. I've had a capital loss because metonium at 15 cedis. Now, if we have to reduce it by 3 cedis by the quantities of items you have. There's a certain capital lost.
Okay.
Into the end say, oh, Tisunanka, sales contemua. Now, quack of new items about. But sales in Koso said, no. Especially those into food commodities. So, no team got 1 bag of rice or 2 containers, sugar container, mackerel container. What's in your but we buy or 2 single items. And what is so, what cut it out. So, the replacement, no. It's costing us a lot. So no one should have this impression that because forests have come down, businesses have a lot of savings, therefore we should go and tax them. That should not be it. But rather we should be looking at, let's allow businesses to grow. Let's not disturb them with any taxes now. Just like I indicated, when businesses are doing well and their profits are going high, government, you can tax them through corporate income tax.
Okay. Right, Charles, yate. But more calling for meetings, right? Na yen share kwan be fa so amoso mo betumi eno my say ban say still na ye be boho na mo 15 e be form somebody okay quick one na yenko.
No, but is it that necessary? Is the timing right? We are calling for an engagement, stakeholder engagement. We are calling for a suspension of the introduction of the VAT.
Okay.
That's 15%.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. All right, Charles. Kusi Appiah, could be your head business and economic bureau, GUTA, and I know Eddie common. Almost say Ministry of Finance, GUTA force they're calling for an engagement on the current 15% GRA announcement to know and VAT on non-life insurance premium. And who's this one? So as ye the ordinary Ghanaian. And as much as dollar number form no, almost still la no. This is not the right time. To me a day a year a juma.